When we look at the Mona Lisa or the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, we see beauty, harmony, and genius. We are told that the Renaissance was a magical time when humanity suddenly woke up and started creating masterpieces. But history is never that simple. The Renaissance didn't start because people suddenly became better at painting or because they suddenly became smarter. It started because of a perfect storm of death, dirty money, and forbidden secrets. It was a revolution born in the shadows and paid for with blood. Today on 5-Point Historian, we are looking behind the canvas. We are uncovering the 5 brutal truths of why the Renaissance really started. We will explore how the Black Death created the wealth of Italy, why the world's most beautiful art was paid for by the world's most sinful money, and how stolen secrets from the East changed everything. Are you ready to see the dark side of the Golden Age? Hit like and subscribe. Let's head to 15th century Florence. 1. The gift of the Black Death, life after the apocalypse. The first brutal truth is the most shocking. Without the Black Death, there would be no Renaissance. This sounds impossible, right? How can a disease that killed half of Europe lead to the greatest cultural movement in history? To understand this, we have to look at the economy of death, the wealth of survivors. In the middle of the 14th century, the plague wiped out nearly 50% of Europe's population. Before the plague, there were too many people and not enough food or land. Wages were very low because workers were easy to replace. But after the apocalypse, the situation reversed. Suddenly, there was a massive shortage of labor. A simple farmer or a builder could demand 3 or 4 times more money for his work. The survivors inherited the houses, clothes, and gold of those who had died. For the first time in history, common people had disposable income, extra money to spend on things they didn't strictly need to survive. A new perspective on life. The plague also destroyed the people's total trust in the church. If the priests could die just as easily as the sinners, then maybe the church didn't have all the answers. People realized that life was short, fragile, and unpredictable. They adopted the philosophy of carpe diem, seize the day. Instead of suffering today to go to heaven tomorrow, they wanted to enjoy the here and now. They wanted to wear fine silk, live in beautiful houses, and see art that celebrated the human form. The Renaissance was the rebound of humanity after facing the end of the world. It was a celebration of being alive. 2. Dirty money, the banker's guilt. The second brutal truth is that the Renaissance was built on dirty money. When we think of the Renaissance, we think of the Medici family in Florence. They were the most powerful bankers in Europe. But in the 15th century, being a banker was considered a dangerous and sinful profession. The sin of usury. At that time, the Catholic Church taught that usury, the practice of charging interest on loans, was a mortal sin. The logic was that time belongs to God, and if you make money just by letting time pass, interest, you are stealing from God. Bankers were officially considered social outcasts. They were often denied a Christian burial and were seen as people who would definitely go to hell. This created a massive psychological problem for families like the Medici. They were the richest people in the world, but they were terrified of eternal fire. Washing the soul with art. How do you fix your reputation with God? You spend your dirty money on holy things. This was a massive money laundering operation for the soul. The Medici and other banking families began to hire geniuses like Donatello, Botticelli, and Michelangelo to decorate their private chapels and build massive cathedrals. They weren't just patrons of the arts because they loved beauty. They were trying to buy their way into heaven. Every masterpiece we see today was essentially a gift to God to say, Please forgive us for being bankers. The Renaissance was funded by a mixture of incredible wealth and deep religious guilt. 3. The knowledge refugees. Secrets from the East. The third brutal truth is that Italy didn't just invent the Renaissance. They imported it from a dying empire. For nearly 1,000 years, Western Europe had been in the Dark Ages, forgetting the philosophy and science of ancient Greece and Rome. But that knowledge was still alive in the East, in the Great Library of Constantinople. The Great Migration of Scholars. In 1453, the Byzantine Empire finally fell to the Ottoman Turks. As the city was being conquered, thousands of Greek scholars fled across the sea to Italy, especially to Florence and Venice. They didn't bring gold or armies with them. They brought something much more valuable: their libraries. They brought the original Greek texts of Plato, Aristotle, and Homer, books that had not been read in the West for a millennium. The spark of humanism. These refugees became the teachers of the Italian elite. Imagine the shock of the Italian thinkers when they read these ancient books. They realized that the Greeks and Romans had already solved many problems of science, architecture, and democracy. This rebirth, Renaissance, was actually a rediscovery. Italy became the center of the world because it was the first place to welcome these knowledge multicellari refugees. They sparked a movement called humanism, which taught that humans were capable of great things. Without the tragedy of Constantinople's fall, the West might have stayed in the dark for another 5 centuries. 4. The Church's hypocrisy, power over piety. The fourth brutal truth involves the most powerful institution of the era, the Catholic Church. We often think of the Renaissance Church as a holy place of prayer, but the reality was much darker. In the 15th and 16th centuries, the popes were not just religious leaders. They were CEOs, military generals, and master politicians. The competition of the popes of the Renaissance, like the famous Julius II or Leo X, were obsessed with worldly power. They wanted Rome to be the most beautiful city on earth, to prove that the Pope was more powerful than any king in Europe. They used the Renaissance as a weapon of propaganda. They spent incredible amounts of money, often collected from the poor through indulgences, paying to have sins forgiven, to build St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican. Pagan art in the Holy City. What is most hypocritical is that while the Church told people to avoid pagan, non-Christian ideas, the popes were hiring Raphael and Michelangelo to fill their walls with images of Greek gods and ancient philosophers. They didn't care about the religious message as much as the wow factor. They wanted visitors to enter Rome and feel small and weak compared to the Church's wealth. This competition for glory created a massive job market for artists. If you were a talented painter, the Church was your biggest customer, but they didn't hire you for your faith. They hired you to build their brand. 5. The bloody science truth under the skin. The final brutal truth is the one that people often find the most disturbing. To make art look real, Renaissance artists had to become scientists. And to become scientists, they had to break the law. During the Middle Ages, the Church had strictly forbidden the dissection, parcellama, of human bodies. But for geniuses like Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo, looking at a body from the outside wasn't enough. Grave robbing and secret anatomy. Leonardo da Vinci was obsessed with the mechanics of life. During his career, he dissected over 30 human corpses. But where did these bodies come from? They were often the bodies of executed criminals or people who died in hospitals with no family to claim them. Leonardo and other artists worked in secret basements, often in the middle of the night, working by candlelight. They had to work fast because there was no refrigeration. and the smell was unbearable. They were peeling back the skin and muscles of the dead to understand the secret of human perfection. The price of realism. The reason Michelangelo's David looks so alive, with the veins in the hands and the tension in the legs, is because Michelangelo spent thousands of hours cutting into dead flesh to see how every muscle was connected to the bone. These artists lived in a world of decay and blood to find the beauty we see today. If they had been caught, they could have been executed for witchcraft or desecration. The beautiful, clean humanism of the Renaissance was built on a foundation of stolen bodies and cold, hard, bloody science. They had to violate the laws of the church to truly understand the works of God. The Renaissance was not a peaceful time of painting and poetry in a garden. It was a chaotic, violent, and incredibly expensive revolution. It was an era born from the ashes of the plague, funded by the guilt of bankers, fueled by the secrets of refugees, driven by the ego of popes, and mapped out by the dissection of the dead. It was the moment when humanity decided that we were the center of the universe and that our potential was limitless. So the next time you see a Renaissance painting in a museum, don't just look at the colors. Look for the dirty money and the dark science behind the brushstrokes. Which of these 5 truths was the most surprising to you? Was it the Vegas-style guilt of the Medici or the secret anatomy lessons of Leonardo? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Stay curious, stay historical. I'll see you in the next one.